Good morning from Strand on the Green, aka Chiswick, aka Hounslow. Chiswick is the bit of Hounslow that's in denial that it's Hounslow, but nonetheless, we're here to have some breakfast this morning and check out the view.
Welcome to another episode of Toby's Stupid Vlog.
Good afternoon, welcome to ALDGATE. Look at all the shiny tall things. Anyway, we are off to Pensford and Olly's wedding, which is somewhere up here on the right somewhere. Luckily it's still light, we know roughly where we're going. ALDGATE has sort of developed in the last few years into a high-rise sort of, well, it's pretty much the city extended, whereas it used to be lots of very nasty low-rise buildings. That's what I like about the east end of the city. It's really busy. Everyone who's here is on their way to somewhere else, almost without exception. And all the tourists, as we just commented on, they all look like they're lost and they're supposed to be going somewhere else. Oh, okay. Everyone down there looks lost too. It's so different between like Monday to Fridays, when all the city folk are around, and the weekend when nobody's around and most things are closed.
Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Love I'm feeling. I wanna know. Now I wanna know. And I'm willing and able.
How are you?
Yeah, not bad, thank you.
Oh, careful.
Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. I'm just having a vitamin tablet because there's lots of colds going around still. We got in last night at about 12:30. Actually, it wasn't too bad. A bit of a train and a bit of an Uber, and it all worked. It was great fun. Good wedding. Excellent wedding. Lots of ideas. Lots of thoughts that it provoked, so I had to write down. And then this morning, we've done a bit of shopping. We've done a bit of wedding planning and done a lot of tidying and relaxing. Those two things are mutually exclusive, so you have to do a bit of tidying and then a bit of relaxing. And now I'm off to buy some things for dinner. Friendly neighbourhood squirrel. She's not that friendly. So I'm just walking from St Pancras to to ALDGATE offices, which is where USP is going to be based in a week or so. This massive monolith that looks like some sort of Nazi megastructure is One Cartwright Gardens. That's it. Well, these are Cartwright Gardens with tennis courts and all. It's a very nice little part of town. Just trying to learn my way around, really. Really don't know this part of town at all, so it's interesting to try and learn my way around. Find spots I might be able to have lunch and whatnot. How I might get here in the morning. There's lots of big mansion blocks. All look very expensive, even the new ones. But not a lot in the way of cafes. So that could be a problem. This building on the corner is Tavis House, which is ALDGATE headquarters, which is where we'll be, up on the 6th floor with a view over the gardens. Hello, I'm back home. Do you know what? It is about time that we had a full-on political rant, because it's been a long time and there's been a lot of politics happening. Let's very, very briefly deal with the US election. I'm preaching to the choir here, so let's keep it very simple. Donald Trump is a horrible, horrible human being. He is a sexual aggressor. He is an intimidator of other faiths and religions, of other countries. He doesn't understand anything about business, as can be proven looking simply at his own. And there is a fairly good chance that following this election, he may well be convicted on rape charges. So there is simply no reason to vote for him. Now let's move on. So there's just been an announcement today that the government will pursue a third runway at Heathrow. I live under the flight path of the existing 2 runways. They actually run slightly north and slightly south of me, so a third runway even further north won't directly affect me, except that, aside from the extra noise, the pollution issue is enormous. It's an idiotic decision. It's an idiotic decision to put yet more infrastructure into London. They should be thinking about building infrastructure outside of London. Anyways, what that means is that our current sitting MP, Zac Goldsmith, has resigned and there'll be a by-election. I will not be voting for Zac. I have never voted for Zac, and the reasons are very simple. His mayoral campaign in London proved that he is quite prepared to play on someone else's ethnic background or race and religion to essentially imply that because of that they can't be trusted, which is absolutely hideous thing to do. He has campaigned that against Heathrow, which is noble, except that the implication was that by voting for him, he'd somehow have some say with the Conservative government, which he's proved he has none. All he's done is helped give a majority to a government that can then make this decision. From the backbenches, he's had very little impetus at all. And he campaigned for the UK to leave the EU, despite the fact that 72% of people in this constituency voted for Remain. So he's not even bothered to represent the views of the people whose job it is for him to represent. On top of that, I've had conversations with him where he has suggested that there should be money given to things like homeopathy and alternative medicine, even though there is a huge amount of evidence to prove conclusively that they do not work, which is an idiotic way of spending money when there's medicines that do work. Secondly, thirdly, fourthly, I don't know where we're up to at this point, he has refused to campaign for any form of voting reform. He doesn't believe that proportional representation is the way to go. If you don't have a government in Westminster that reflects the views of the people as a whole, then what good is it at all? So he basically stands against everything I believe in. I will be voting for anybody who can fulfil the criteria of what is a proper voting system. Will you represent the views of these of the constituents that you purport to represent? Will you campaign to keep Britain in the single market? Do you understand what medicines and what things in the NHS should be properly funded? And do you have any idea on how to help plug the gap with the housing crisis? So that's my simple criteria. Good morning. I'm here to have a look in Pensford Field, see what the autumn colours are doing. A cat is giving me evils. He's gone. Yeah, I don't usually come in here this time of year. I usually only see it in the summer, but let's see what it's like in the autumn. It's quite a nice day today. I don't think the trees have quite turned here yet, but we'll have a look then. I've got to go into town later on, having a meeting with Vino and Rick talking about podcasts. So that should be quite fun. Makes a change from lifting boxes. It's moderately autumnal down here, isn't it? There's lots of greens and yellows, but there's no sort of reds. It's kind of nice when you get the full traffic light effect. But still very nice in the sunshine though. What a nice spot. Welcome inside the TATE Modern. Just thought I'd pop by because it's right around the corner from where Vino works. This amazing soundscape they've created. Lots of dripping. I don't know if you remember the giant crack that was the exhibition. You can still see the remains of it they filled in. Hello, good evening. So we had a very constructive meeting, myself and Rick and Vino and a couple of Vino's colleagues. We'll see where it goes. I hope it goes somewhere. It could be quite good fun. It's Friday night. Crystal is out at the cinema with Hayley, and she'll be back in a couple of hours. I have just stopped off at the brand new deli that's just opened in Kew, sort of cafe delicatessen. It's very nice looking. I'm quite excited about the fact that it's there, and I just bought dinner from it, so everything's looking pretty good. The only other thing to mention this week is that Higgy Pop has now left London, which is why we all had that meet up last week. I think it was last week, brain a bit fried, which is sad for London mainly. But good for Steve. So from now on, all Higgy Pop videos will come from a shed somewhere in the Bristol area. If there can't be many people this applies to, but if by some chance you're watching this video and you do not know who Higgy Pop is, then here's a very quick instructional. Go to youtube.com/HiggyPopUK and subscribe. The end. Anyway. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed to this channel either, I'd very much like it if you could by clicking the subscribe button, which at time of recording is red and somewhere below the video. And by doing that, you'll see when I put up a new video, and hopefully there will be at much more regular intervals than they have been of late due to my stupid work pattern. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week.